What's the deal there, Casanova? My boy Josh. What's going on, man? I am. Do me a favor, man. Let me know if my stuff is still sound like I'm echoing, because I may go stereo instead of mono. Because right now I just got my screen up to like I could switch it, but yeah. So let's see if we show Blender. No, it doesn't. But I just need to know if the mic is still sounding like it's echoing. Oh, okay, cool. I'm just making sure. I'm trying to. Right now, I'm sharing the stream out. So yeah. All right. So the question is, what you got going on? Alrighty then. Q. Yeah, I was just trying to share out the stream, and I didn't. Okay, I changed the details or the description on this video, but didn't change uh the title. Thinking I was like, why does it still say modeling and environment? And I'm not modeling environment, I'm actually animating. And this is one of the scenes I really didn't want to show too much of. So um yeah. So we're really at the end of the scene. So uh yeah. So it's cool. What do you say? Oh, okay. Gotcha, gotcha. Even though personally I think you just need to just drop it and stop wasting time on it. This is me. Okay, let me break something down for all that may come in here at any given time that may be interested in modeling, 3D animation, and anything like that. When you first start out, you're gonna have a lot of big concepts, a lot of big ideas, and I get that. Uh, but one word of advice I've never heard any animator give is literally keep it small. You have big concepts, this, that, and the other, but if your visuals don't match your vision, then you're really just spinning your wheels. So like you say, well, you want to release a concept picture, just keep it. You know what I'm saying? Like it just keep it, because what you'll do is get someone hyped for something, and then when they show up, they go, well, it didn't. It's lackluster. It doesn't hit as hard. Versus right now, what you should be doing is practicing just putting a character in Blender by itself or Maya or whatever program you use, and just getting used to animating regular normal movements. Like just make a fist yourself. Just get used to doing that repeatedly. Get used to changing your uh like for instance, get used to changing your actual transformation orientation, like from local to global or whatever. You feel what I'm saying? So if once you get used to those type of things, then this is where you once it's time to animate, you're moving quicker. So now when you start to put stuff out, you're saying, you know what? I can go in right now and make an instant thumbnail. You feel what I'm saying? Like I can go in right now and make a thumbnail in 2 minutes. Like I'm literally telling you, I can right now go in and make a thumbnail in 2 minutes because I got so used to animating and moving the character around. What's going on, Magic? What one of the things that I got used to was got so used to moving the characters around that I said, you know what? Let me make a pose library. So now I have a pose library. So now when I go in and I say, okay, well, I want his arms crossed. Boom. I just click arms crossed. Now his arms are crossed, but I might want to adjust that. So now I make an adjustment to that. So it's just one of those things where you have to sit down and say to yourself, okay, is what I'm doing really going to up my game, or am I just getting people hyped for something that visually is not going to match my vision? And that's why I be saying to you, Casanova, like, don't put too much out when your visuals don't match the energy that you just gave. Yes, someone may say, hey man, it's fire, or they might catch something, and I feel you on that, and nothing wrong with that. I've had people do the same thing. Like when I was doing season 3, I literally would not change anything, no matter what nobody said. Meaning, I stayed with what I was doing because I was learning, and I did. So that's the reason why by the time you get close to the end of season 3, the shaders change, the animation changed, the environments look better, because I didn't want to start making adjustments. I wasn't denying or pushing away what they were saying. Because like when I'm saying stuff to you, Casanova, I'm saying it more like, hey, stop. Get used to doing the program. Get used to moving the characters. Get used to doing a lot of transforms and a lot of rotations. Get used to that. Because once you get accustomed to it, then when you say, you know, I'm going to release a concept, you can release a concept now with a 14-second clip. Because all you know now, you're just waiting on rendering. You're not waiting on, let me figure out how to do this. I don't have to find files. I don't have to go through this big mix. I can just really just drop in there and just get it done. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like slow down, take your time, and say, you know what? Instead of releasing this, let me get used to it first. And that's all I'll be saying. I'm not saying don't do it. Even now, I'm not saying don't drop it or release it. I'm saying get used to not just the program, but moving around these particular models. Because what if later on you say, you know what, I want to use models from Jump Force. Yes, they don't have mouth bones, but let's say I find a rigger. So now the rigger has rigged me up a rig, and now I have to get used to that rig. But if you're accustomed to using your transforms and your orientation, and change your orientation within the program and getting used to your making a pose library, then you don't have to worry about trying to figure stuff out as you go. Now you just go in and click and drag. You know, it's like, for instance, if I come in here right now and I go, I'll show you, give you a good example. All right. Here. So the thumbnail that we saw was Tabar. Okay. So when I go and illuminate this, hopefully my computer don't decide to conk out on me. All right. So it's just a simple, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing complex. It's just a light behind them, but there's also a sun. The light behind them is for rim lighting. Okay. So that's for the rear lighting if I'm from the side. All right. So the next part would be, say for instance, I want, because like if I click the sun, I can turn everything off. Right. And I'll just I'll hit R twice, RR. Now I'm playing with how I want it to be lit. So say I want it lit like this because I just want it to be ominous. I want to be kind of ominous, right? All right, boom. But I want to change his pose. I know I hit his bones, so let me go get his bones. So his bones are selected right now, right? Okay, so now when I go to the actual bone properties, or the object data properties rather, I have literally 4 pose libraries, right? So we're going to be in the first one. Now, I don't want to move all of him, so I'm going to go into pose mode, all right? And then I just want to cross his arms. But I'm going to go, let me come out of here real quick. I'm going to select his shoulders. All right, this is particular to these models, so this is not on everything. All right, and I'm saying this for those that may come in later on. Cross his arms, boom, his arms are crossed. But I know I don't like this loose shoulder, so I go in and fix that. Right, and I showed you that before, Casanova. So boom, now all I have to do now is come in, hide his bones again, do this, and now I got what I want. I just made a thumbnail in less than 2 minutes because all I have to do now is hit F12. Get my image is already set to for transparency. I'm already in my transparency folder. Okay, so all I do now is just save it, and boom, now I go make my thumbnail. Now I don't have to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Because I already have everything I need right now. Now I'm not saying you don't have it. What I'm saying to anybody that come in here other than Casanova is one of the biggest things that you need to do is start figuring out your lighting, figuring out all these things ahead of time, because most animators don't say that. They're just trying to sell a gimmick. They'll be like, well, see, you need to worry about your graph editor and your curves. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But what's the point in knowing the graph editor if I don't have a pose library, or not even just a pose library, if I don't understand how to move the character properly? So let's say, again, I turn everything back on. I'm going to go into solid mode. and I just click it. I'm gonna turn off the cinema. So, and the lights. So now, let me drop this in there. Okay, so because when I turn this on, all that should come back on, right? Yep. So, all right, when I click this and turn this on, one of the biggest things that I realized with this particular set of bones, not just the models from Xenoverse 2. This is not across the board, okay? So that is the armor parts. This is the part that controls the clothing right here, right? Okay. So this is the arm, and then the other one is the armor, is the arm helper. It helps. It's like kind of like a tweak, right? So this other one is literally how I move the arm. So for instance, if I select all this and hit Alt R, that arm is going to go all the way out. Boom. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and reset all of that. Now the shoulder hasn't been reset. Now why I'm doing this is because I want to show you something. So now when I go into the bones, go into the actual armature itself, I'm just going to select the right shoulder bones. Okay. Now, because I'm in local mode, I can just go ahead and instantly just get right where I want to go. Now, the point that I'm making here is this. I'm accustomed to doing this now because I know which orientation of the bones. A lot of people are going to this menu right here and use this, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. The reason why I don't use it is because it's still, I know the orientation. You feel what I'm saying? I already know the orientation, so I just keep it on select, so I can just select because I already know the orientation. I want that orientation where it was turning just then. I already know when I hit R, I hit X. Boom, it's done. I don't have to. I'm just getting there already. Again, right here, RY. I already know the orientation. So if I come over here to viewport and go to axes, the axes are already there. So I already see here on this particular set of bones that the axis of Y is going in that diagonal area. So when I hit RY, I already know it's going to rotate on the Y. You know what I'm saying? Up and down. If I hit the X, it's going to literally turn it left to right. Why? Because that axis is up and down. The Z is literally going back and forth. So if I hit the Z, it's going to go up and it's going to go literally at a diagonal angle because of the orientation of the actual bones. So once I know that, now I can just come in and select it, and now I don't have to deal with all those things only because what I figured out was my orientation. It doesn't matter what rig you're using. You feel what I'm saying? What, the orientation? It's underneath the viewport display. It literally says axis. It even has name. I can even click it and show the name of the bones. So, like you saying you like to go to wire, I mean, it's the same thing. It's under the same menu. So when you hit axes, boom, it'll show you the axes of all the bones. Understand the axis of every bone is on the Y, which is up and down. Anytime a game or a character from a game has been made, the bones go up and down. Only in Blender is Z up and down. Every other program, Y is up and down. Okay. So as you see the green line, that's back and forth, right? In every other program, that's Z. Okay. The green line. In every other program, Y is the blue line, which is up and down. If we go here, which you see here, it's the blue line. Okay, so in Blender, only in Blender is the orientation for up and down Z. But when you go local, it goes back to the original settings for whatever that armature has. So since the armature here, the axes on all the bones are on the Y. So let's reset him. All right. Now we're going to go back into the pose library, and this time I'm going to go, let's say Super Saiyan 3 pose, because I took that pose, right? All right, so now when I click his base and I want to drop him back down, again on the Y, because remember it goes up and down. Now we'll go back into the camera view, turn some lights on up in here, which I turned off. All right, boom. Now I'm going to turn off his bones. Just reset this here. And now, all right. And because he's at that angle, I want to move his eyes. So we're going to make his eyes look a little bit more like he's looking at the screen. There we go. Boom. So now we have a whole, just that fast. I now don't have to go and do a lot of extra things. Now let's say I want him to do maybe something extra. I'll just do this instead. Boom. I just want to take this, do this real quick. Right. All right. And because I know that his arm bone is in there. Oh, I already clicked it. All right, here we go. So I'm come back in here because I want to see it like that. All right. Boom. Again, there it is. Just that quickly, I've already gave him a new position. because that's the whole point that I'm constantly trying to make with you, Josh, Casanova, is that it's like those little bitty things can be done. You feel what I'm saying? So this way now the orientation moves fast. That's why when I see someone working like what's his name? SSB assassin. Um I see him like that's a lot of extra when I be telling you about the clicking. It's like, okay, I want to move these bones a certain way. Let's just say I want to move. I'll use something simple. Say I want to move the chest bone, right? So it says chest right here. Okay, I want to rotate it. I'm coming over here to do all of this, to do rotations and all. It's just too much. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a lot. So okay, I want to rotate it. I click this here and I do all of that, and it's like, man, that's just too much, bro. When I can just literally do this here, I hit R and I hit Y, and now I am rotating on the Y because that's the one. Now, if I wanted to rotate directly up and down instead of being on the Y axis, I'll hit Z twice. Now he's rotating directly on the Z axis. But these are the little things that I tell people all the time. You have to figure out over time instead of trying to figure. You're steady trying to make ideas come to life, but you don't know how to work the program well enough to bring that visual to life later on. That's the point I'm making, is for later on, not from the beginning. Not, I'm saying not the concept. The concept you may be able to do, but it's like me saying, hey, I got a new idea for one of the characters in R.O.D, but I don't know how to visually make that happen. I can make the picture, the image, but what if I don't know how to translate that into the scene? So, like for instance, I'll give you a good example. Let's go into one of the R.O.D scenes. One of the I go to episode 5. Was it 5? 4? 6. 6. No, it's 5. It's 5. Okay, so when I come into here and I go to, let's just say this one, right? All right, so one of the things I'm gonna show you is, because I'm supposed to be animating right now, but it's only like a little bit of that scene left, so it doesn't really make a difference. All right, like right here, okay, because I know it has to pop up for you guys. All right, so one of the things that I was looking at is, let me, hold on. Because I don't know how loud it is for you guys, but I'm going to turn it down for me. Because I feel like I'm yelling. All right, so this is the thing. Like when I press play, right? It's going to kind of look glitchy because it's just how it is. So that's shot right there. If I go, I don't even want to, I'll just click her face real quick because I don't want to do a whole lot. So when I slide back on this, right? Okay, one of the deals is, you see how, all right, so when I turn everything off, and I'll bring this up here. Okay, so as I drag this, boom, okay, because that's the impact sphere that you see right there. That's all it is. Let me save it. Now, if I'm going to click this button, if my thing go off, I'll be back. Because my computer be tripping sometimes. So I added an impact sphere for the sake of, or I'm sorry, an impact effect, so you know, for effect, right? So boom, okay. So the thing is let's say this is my thumbnail. My thumbnail is this. This is my thumbnail, right? So let's say that's my thumbnail, or the image that I show. Okay, all right. One thing I want you to do is stop calling it paper, sir, because it's not. But one of the things, because it's a 3D object, that's what's funny about it. I get why you're saying it, but it's a 3D object. And you're saying it like that, but fail to realize, like, try to take that and put it on a sphere, or try to put it on a cube, or try to put it on a torus, or try to put it on, and watch how that changes. It's going to completely change. But anyway, so say this is your image right here, right? One of your biggest issues is, how do I get this to translate to screen? So when people say, oh man, that was a fire picture, but then when they say they kind of just giving you a pass because they know you, or they're trying to get into the story. So a lot of times when I have people, not just you, Casanova, they come to me, because other people do too, or also, when people come to me and ask me about stuff, I say, well, do you know how to paste that? You feel me? So it's like if I come over to, and let me create it, because I didn't, I'll create it real quick, because I need to create my NLA editor. All right, so All right. So here is I'm gonna create a gigantic interlay editor. All right. So this is where we are for this scene. Okay. So this. All right. So one of the things is, and I'll slide this over to create a 3D window. All right. Go to the camera, slide it up, turn all these gadgets and gadgets off. All right. I'll slide it up some also. All right. So here's your image, right? And I'll even turn this on. So we have the stuff in there. All right. So when we look at this, okay, so boom, she goes and throws the kick. Now that's on the camera. I don't want it on the camera. I want it on Crimson. All right. So when I go to the beginning, this animation is, that's the camera. That's not the animation. Where in the world is Crimson? Okay, there it is. All right. There we go. So we have multiple animations, right? So these animations are blended right here. You see this line? That animation is blended. All right. So boom, switch over cameras. And then she starts to go into that. Right? What's going on, Chill? Boom. All right. So now that impact is there. Okay. But let's say, again, I told you, let's say this. Let me go to it real slow. All right. So again, let me go to her face because apparently I don't. Oh my goodness. What is happening here? All right. I don't need all that. Just go to the bones, man. All right. What the hell? Let's in pose mode. All right. So here we go. All right. So like we were saying, this is my thumbnail, right? So let's say this is my image. Okay. Or rather this one. Let me go a little bit further. All right. So let's say that's my image. But I didn't display it well. Let's say I didn't display it well. Now I just took my viewer out of the game. So I get having that desire or will or stubbornness, so to speak, to maintain or stick with what you intend to do. But it's like if someone's already done the work, like you didn't have to make Blender or you didn't have to make Maya. You didn't have to do that work and then say, okay, I finally made my 3D program. Now let me start programming. And then, start doing 3D animation. Now, as you're doing 3D animation, you go, man, this program tripping. Now I got to update it. You didn't have to do the work. All you had to do was just wait for an update. And then now you update your program and then you start working. And so I'm saying, I've already went ahead and did the work. I'm trying to give you the knowledge to say, okay, stop. You want to look a certain way, fine. But get the main mechanics down first. And that's what I basically be coming to tell you. So it's like get the main mechanics down. So a even better way to go about doing it is going to the one I was just doing just then. So let's drop back in. All right. So I know the next person should be, I think White Moon. I hope so. Yep, that's it right there. All right, cool. Just learning little tricks and tips. Like just then, what I tend to do right there is to say, okay, I want to change my camera angle, but because I have the mouth again separated into different, because I know you learned about the layers, so into different layers, so whole body, eyelids, mouth. So I tend to click the mouth because it's just I use it, right. So I want the camera to zoom over there, so I click the mouth, and then I hit the period key on what's going on, Kothan. So what I'll do is I'll hit the period key on the mouse pad. So it's already over there. All right. And then I go back to my camera. Then I set my keyframes. So now I know I already know what action I want. But the camera's not exactly where I want it to be. So I'll put the camera exactly where I want it to be. All right. Because I want it to be kind of like in this almost intimate spot. All right. All right. So that's what I want for that. All right. Now I come in and go to her bones. Because what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to tell you another thing too, Casanova, and anybody else that may use Blender. If you are literally animating and you're going to push down your animations into the interlay editor, the non-linear animation editor, if you don't set all of your main bones ahead of time, it will literally mess up all your animations afterward. Like, say for instance, I've already have this character already animated, but if I don't select all these, all of her bones right here, if I don't do this, what I just did just then, just say I didn't set that and I just animated her mouth, I'm telling you right now, when it gets to that part right there, she's going to go into a T pose because there's no data for the rest of the bones past the original or the animation before that. You know what I'm saying? So there's an animation before this. So whenever you do it, just set all the bones as one keyframe, because that's what a lot of times happens with most characters, that one bone's already set as a keyframe. Like all of the bones have one keyframe that has them locked in that position because there's an animation before it. So now I can animate any part of her now without fear that the rest of her body is going to go back into default pose. And I come out of that because I intend to use none of that right now, and then I'll just go ahead and go down here and do my dialogue stuff. Oh, wrong thing. 1935. All right. And then, yeah. So that's one of the biggest things that I learned. One of the hardest lessons I learned early on. Excuse me. I know I'm doing this early, but I needed to. I just needed to. I was like, you know what? Let me do this now. And I know I tend not to do it much on this channel, but I chose to do it on this channel today. So, all right. So that's done. Gonna go back to her regular, the rest of her body. Click her head. All right. All right. Well, posing's not necessarily hard. One of the issues that I find that people have is that they're trying to match something. Like a good example, you don't have a team of animators like Disney does, right? So Disney has a team of animators. Okay? And with that team of animators, there's people that's doing each level. So understand there's a different level. That's blocking. Like right now, I'm blocking. This is a block. And then I'll go in and refine in the graph editor. So this is the graph editor where you see this red line is right now. In that portion, what happens is I can go in and refine it. So let's say right here, right? So I'll click these two. Matter of fact, let me do it now. I'll click these two keyframes. Let's say I move them. See how her head moves when I move those keyframes? Okay, so if I do it left or right, it's only going to change the position of them. So one of the things that people they're trying to figure out, well, posing's hard. No, it's not. Because I'm going to show you something. Good example on the best way to show you how to do it. I will not use this scene to do it. So hold on. Let me go back here. Because you weren't here a second ago. So I'll come back in here and I'll go to him, right? So one of the things is, all right, he's already posed. One of the biggest things is creating a pose library. I just talked about that a second ago. But right now we're going to just default him. Okay, so I'll just default him. All right, so he's defaulted. He's in a T-pose right now. All right, let me go and fix his eyes because I don't want them to stay the way they were. All right, so, all right. Now, when I click his bones or his armature, because it doesn't make a difference if you're using bones, you're using a rig or whatever. All of it's still the same. It's relative. Okay, so let's say, for instance, I want to just bring his shoulders down on either side. So I'm just going to bring his arms down. The thing is whatever you can see in real life, you can do with anything. Because remember, this is just realistically a puppet. So just take your puppet and get used to the orientation. Like if you're using Blender, again, go into the Viewport Display underneath Object Data Properties. This little running man right here. Click the viewport and turn on axes. Get used to seeing where the axes are for each bone. Now you realize this bone right here, this is the armor parts. Okay. So on that bone, even if this was a rig, meaning it had custom controls, it would still have an orientation. Okay, so you see how Y is up and down? That's the local rotation of that bone, not the global. If I go global, it's still going to say Y up and down. So I just keep it on local to do my movements. So once I hit, let's say I hit G, right? That's to move it. If I hit rotate, it'll rotate. So you see his clothing moving on the shoulder there? Okay. All right, so now let's just pick these two because this is the arm help and the arm. So I hit double R, RR, rotate. So now his arm is rotating because now I can rotate it any way I want. All right, so let's say I want to just fold his arm. I'm going to hit RY. Now, you could use this rotation tool or whatever and just do it on the Y right here. You can do it right there if you want. That's fine. Okay. Okay, because again, this white one, all right, the white one is a tweak, okay? Because it'll tweak it left or right, and depending on the angle you're at, it'll only do it from wherever angle you're at. So again, I take it on the X because X is red, green is Y, and blue is Z. So now I just, you know what I'm saying, like little simple things. Now again, for me, I'll just go RZ, RX, okay, RY. All right. Now I want this arm to come out a little bit more, so I'm gonna push it back some. Boom. So that's one of the main things that you really want to. The reason why a lot of people have difficulty posing is that they're not looking at their bones. They're just trying to grab stuff. Okay. Like for instance, I just grabbed the hand bone. The hand bone is the main bone that moves the hand. You see that, right? Now on this particular set of models that come out of Xenoverse, you have a roll, an arm roll. The arm roll literally rolls the arm. Okay, so that you don't get those artifacts. Because some people will twist. Let's say I click that in the hand. When I go and rotate, now the whole thing rotates. But if I click just the hand and rotate, after a while, the hand starts to look like a Tootsie Roll getting bent up. You see that? But if I pick the roll and I roll it, now it gets rid of that. Those little things are what you have to pay attention to. It's not like, oh, I have some hidden knowledge. The key here is that what's happening is you're trying to imitate a pose and not thinking about the relative bones. Because your main bones or your main parts of the armature are realistically would be your shoulders, your shoulders, your upper arm, lower arm, because this is the upper arm, lower arm, and then your hand. Okay. For the lower part would be your upper legs and your lower legs. Okay. So in Xenoverse models, this is the knee. That's why I can come in here and do this and his knees are fold, right? Okay. So that's one of the things that you have to just have to stop and slow down and say, okay, well, how do I get this to pose? It's just thinking about those little bitty things. Like for instance, if I come up here to his base, I'll take his base, hit RY. I want to turn him slightly to the side. Okay. Then I'm going to take this leg and I'm going to kick it out. Again, remember, we're going on the local axis. All right. Now, remember something. You also can stretch and scale. So if I say for instance, I change the location, I'll hit GY because that's going to go up and down. Now I can make that leg go all the way down. You see that, right? Okay. So one of the things that a lot of people are trying to do is they're trying to mimic something, but not realizing, like if I took him and put him back in that Super Saiyan 3 pose, this leg is shorter in the Super Saiyan 3 pose because he's leaning. So instead of them bending the leg and bringing the model down, all they did was just stretch that leg out and then change the location and then squeeze the other one up. Because a lot of times people will say, well, I don't know why he's not touching the ground. I've done it 22 times. You're trying to stretch something out that you should have just done that right there and then say, I'll go over here and click his leg, right? Let's go into one. You see how it's right on that line? Now, when I hit that, I'm going to turn it, right? Okay, so now we're on the line. But it's as far as I'm concerned, it's too far crooked. So I just want to keep looking. Because again, your hotkeys for turning, if you have a keypad, if you're using like a desktop or something, some laptops have it, like mine has a keypad. 1 to put you to the front, 3 to put you to the side, 7 to put you to the top, okay? And then you have your tweaks, which will be 6, 4, 2, and 8, okay? And then 9 reflects whatever you have. Like say, for instance, if I hit 1 to the front and hit 9, it'll put me to the back. If I hit 7 for the top and I hit 9, it'll put me to the bottom, okay? So those are your tweaks. All right, so now when I do that, I want to rotate this because I want his foot to be facing that direction. Boom, just that fast. So that's one of the things that I find a lot of people they're trying to get those angles, but not stopping and saying, well, how does this rotate? Get used to your rotations. And that's the reason why you're having those problems, Kota. Because doing that's really not hard. It's just a matter of, because even when I first started, I was like, man, I need to figure out the simplest things first. And a lot of people are not doing that. They're not finding out the simplest things first. They're just trying to get there now. All right, so I was going to delete this one and this one. All right. Okay, so all right, so we're blinking now. All right. Another thing is don't forget in your skeleton, don't forget your bone layers. Make bone layers. Like for instance, I have bone layer here. Now I'm on her eyebrows. So I hit A to select everything. You're welcome. That's what I'm here for, man. Okay. And then also some things don't have a rotation. Like I can rotate these bones, but they really are just location bones. Because they only go up and down. Okay. Like I can rotate them, but who's really doing that? Because these are for the eyelids. I would rotate the eyebrow bones to turn something to make them look like to bring more emphasis to a surprised look. Other than that, for this, I'll just select these bones. And another thing is finding your rhythm, huh? Well, that's not eyebrow bones, but yeah. And another thing is finding a certain amount of keyframes, and because I watched a guy the other day animating with Xenoverse models, and what tripped me out was the fact that he his action was less than a second, and he was animating it like it was going to be like the entire action was within 1 second. Do you understand how fast a second is? So on playback, it's just gonna flash by. Now, I'm not talking about you, Casanova. So let me make that clear. I literally watched somebody else the other day do the same thing I saw you do, and I said something. He was like, "Oh, well, no, man, I just want it like that." I'm like, "But nobody's gonna see the action because Blender will do a playback while you're streaming, and it'll play back slow, especially if you don't have a sync." I know this person doesn't have the sync on because when you go right here in your timeline, even if it's in your layout, no matter where it's at, when you have a timeline up, playback, click it, and you have AV sync. Now I think every Blender from 2.92 up, they changed the way it is, but it's still the same thing. It's like whatever it was. What does it say, Casanova? Put it in the chat because I don't remember what it says for those. Because I'm using 2.91. All right. All right. I don't like how the mouth looks. So let's see. Okay. Here we go. Boom, boom. All right. Yeah, I always want the mouth to close because most people not walking around with their mouth wide open. 15, 15. All right. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, that's where I'm going. Nope. And after a while, you'll start to find your rhythm. And once you do, just get used to it. Just get accustomed to just doing these things repeatedly. That's another big step that I find a lot of people are missing. No matter what they're doing, when they're starting, it's like they're just trying to leapfrog to that next thing. You know what I'm saying? Oh, wrong one. You said lines. What do you mean? Oh, you talking about the in the graph editor? If you're not in the animation tab, you're not gonna. Well, even if you're in the animation tab, you won't see them. You have to make a new window for it. So those lines that you're seeing, like for okay, let me do this one real quick, and I'll show you because it'd be easier to do it that way. All right. So let me go to her next line. All right. So yeah, that should be it right there. All right. Okay, so those lines are in the graph editor, okay? Oh, that's just the bones. That's just the bones. Like for instance, if I go over here and I go back to octahedral, this is what you'll see. Okay. So all I did was go into your viewport again. Okay. All right, because this is why I keep telling people stop trying to do stuff before you learn the program. Get used to the program first. Just put a character in there and say, okay, how do I get things to look a certain way? For instance, this is what the bones look like coming in, no matter what model you put into Blender. If they have just an armature, if they have a rig, the rig is going to look different. A rig is what controls the armature. Okay, this is just the armature, so I'm animating with the armature, which is nothing wrong with that. Okay, I also animate with rigs. Now, when I come over here to this viewport, I'm sorry, object data properties, little running man right here. You have viewport display. When you go to viewport display, you have octahedral, stick, B-bone. B-bone will be gigantic. Okay, we don't want to use that. Envelope, which is again is crazy, and wire. Okay, so you can go to stick, and it'll give you something you can use that's a little bit easier to use. Wire easy to use too. It's just I'd rather stick only because with stick I get the tips. I need the tips, especially if I want to edit the character. Okay. I need those tips to be able to know where the head and the tail of the bone is. That's the point of using stick, okay? All right, because if you got it on octahedral, you get the tips. You see what I'm saying? So the reason why I use stick is because it's the same way. Because I may need to adjust the bone later on because something may be too small or too big. Yeah. And that's all that. That's how you get those. That's if that's what you're talking about, Kothan. All right, so let me see. You're welcome, sir. Or ma'am. You welcome. You welcome, man. You welcome. Like again, that's what I'm here for. I don't have if you want to get more questions answered in the description, the Discord should be in the description. Just go to the Discord if you so choose. Yeah. So that's my Discord. And just you can come in there anytime, ask questions. Ask your questions under the Blender help or animation help, not in the main chat. Am I animating the neck there? Let's find out. All right. What's funny is this is the exact direction I need her to be looking. All right, we save. Oh, yes, you can scale. Okay, I'm sorry. That happened randomly. It made me laugh. Okay, so all right, because she's a child, so she's itty bitty compared to them. All right. Okay. So what you working on right now, Nova? If you're still here, y'all dip out fast around here. I hate when their mouth stays open. Get the camera right. Just little bitty actions like that just go a long way. All right, so I didn't even translate those. Oof. All right. Ah, it's 1550. All right. What you doing, Casanova? What are you doing? If you're still here, sir. Y'all give me a second. I'm checking something real quick. So bear with me. Alrighty then. Back to it, man. All right. Here we go. All right. So I'm on the next one. Okay. All right, I think it's White Moon Slide. Ooh. 1, 2. Okay, so that would be this one. Sometimes you have to count your lines, man. All right. Dang, Casanova, you not gonna answer my question, man? I guess you're not here anymore. All right. Let's see here. I like that cut right there. I like that. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and animate the camera now. All right. This scene will be done shortly. Yeah, I use a program called Rhubarb Lip Sync, but that doesn't mean that I'm not adjusting the dialogue. Because if you just sat there and just try to animate that all together, I would still be working on season 3. I the first episode I ever did, which I no longer have the cut for some reason. Uh, that's what happened there. Like for instance, I'm using this right here in the graph editor. Like this is what you call animate, and when I use animate, it allows me to literally refine the keys. So I'm adjusting if I have to. That's why a lot of times I look at the dialogue uh, after the fact. Like for instance, there, like so she hit those. Like the wheel part, I feel like the wheels should be a little bit bigger. What's going on, Lanfear? How you doing? I think I did that. What did I do? What I wanted to do? I forgot what I was about to do. Oh, now I remember. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, I find that a lot of people are trying to rush past the learning process, and it's like just learn it, man, because it's not as easy. It's not as hard as people make it out to be, but it's also not as easy as some people make it seem. 'Cause, one of the biggest issues that I found. Oh yeah, I like that. Nothing like those good random days off, right? Exactly. Get your Always good to get your relax on. Now, sometimes I like to just randomly do what I just did. I'll just go in and just randomly rotate. uh, and only because it's like my keys are exactly pretty much where I want them to be. Do I want this one? No, I don't. Because I know what action I want, and some people don't. Some people haven't reached that level, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's like, don't try to do something you know that you're not really comfortable with yet. Like, I've gotten to the point where I know exactly which parts and which pieces I want to use for what. I don't want that one or that one. Yeah, I like to. Wonderful place. Like, that's exactly the rotation I wanted. Because in camera, oh my goodness, look at what it looks like. Because she's literally like a wonderful place. Like, if you were saying that you would turn your head like a wonderful place, like rotate it slightly, a wonderful place. All right. Okay, go back to her mouth because I don't want that on. Any projects, anything going on that you tend to get, or you're just gonna literally 100% relax, Lamphere? Okay, yeah, I'm doing Tratilda. I have to think about who I was doing next. I have to keep looking over at the script. It's on my laptop. I'm using multiple PCs at one time. There, click. Do I want that like that? Yep. All right. So I know the first, second. Oop, I'm on the wrong thing. Let's go back over here. All right. All right. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put that in there. That's her last line. Q, last line. This animation has now officially reached over 1 minute because I render at 40. I'm sorry, not 40. 30 frames a second, and I need to change this because I messed this up earlier. I went and rendered part of this last night and messed around. It didn't set the render folder, so it did an image sequence where I did not want it. Don't forget to set your folders in your output because I definitely did. All right. I'll do 10 frames on that. Hike it hard. Nope, not enough. More. All right. About 15 frame hold. Select those and these. Here we go. 12 frame drop. Nope, add 3 more. 1, 2, 3. All right. Take them back to their original position. All right. More frames. I think on this one I'm gonna take it because that other one was 15. Take it to 12. Take it back to where it was. All right. See the result. Okay. So yeah, I do need to go and do that like that then. All right. See, sometimes because what I tend to do sometimes, or most of the time, is pace my animation off the audio. So one of the things you really want to do is slow down and say, okay, well, what's the audio like? And then pace it based on the audio. Because a lot of people, like when you look at ads and stuff like that, when they're animating, they pace their stuff based on the audio. And that's what a lot of people don't try to do. They try to, oh, well, I'll get to the audio later. No, you need to animate off the audio. Why? Because that's what we're really looking at your animation to see if it matches the audio. That sounds like a plan. That sounds good, nice too. Like, I would definitely like to see that. Like, yeah, I I don't get into the challenges. Like because yeah, Chris does do that. I don't get into the challenges mostly because I don't know. I like doing this type of stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. I'll make an environment any day of the week. Just one of the first things I started getting into was making environments and stuff. Oh yeah, the audio thing. Yes, he does. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the challenge and stuff. Well, he does those too, but still, yeah. But yeah, definitely because I mean, if you don't do it based on the audio, you're really gonna have this. You're gonna have to go back and refine and change things. And a lot of people seem to be in a rush to try to to do something they saw versus learn how to do something they saw. That makes sense. There we go. Yep. And of course, the thing about Blender is you'll have like that little bit of lag time, and I've cut a lot of things short so that there won't be any lag, but it still tends to do it anyway. So I just deal with it. Like I could turn off the mountains and the ground plane because I don't need them right now. And okay, so now I want because I'm about to do the next part. I definitely need her mouth to be moving. I'm one of those people that I need to see the lips moving in order to know the head action I want to use. So once the flaps are moving, I'm good. Some people will go, "Oh, I'll do that last." I'm like, "Nah, I'll do it now." But yeah, I would definitely like to see that, Lanfear. Like to see your your art come out like the final result. Yeah, Chris has been an integral part of my 3D adventure growth journey because once I saw a few of his tutorials, I found him. I actually found him by way of looking at Markham 3D. So when I was looking at Marco, one of the things that I was like, okay, he has certain things that I can glean from, and Chris has certain things I can glean from. But just because my thing was I was always looking for somebody that was doing 3D stuff. You know what I'm saying? Well, thank you. And the thing is I was thinking about doing a tutorial series, but will I do certain tutorials? I have. Let me rephrase. I have done tutorials, but I do them on my second channel. I tend to try to stay away from doing it on this channel because this is really my TV channel. This is where I'm putting out the series, the episodes, the trailers, the teasers, etc. So I mean, I may start doing that more often because my buddy that was in the chat a second ago, I'm not sure if he's still here or not, TT Casanova, and a few other guys that I know, and I think Chris has mentioned this to me before in a comment on my channel also. He's saying something about making tutorials and whatnot. And I'm thinking, you know, it's something I could do. I don't know if I'm really. Yeah, I'm with it. Thank you. Like I could do it. I just, to be honest, I've been being lazy about it. To be honest about it. Yeah. Definitely a good idea to dedicate things to channels. And that's really what the other channel is about. The channel Kwasi Animation Studio, because I don't want. Because I realized that YouTube will literally punish you for a lot of things, and I'm using punish loosely. Quick blink right here at the end. There we go. All right. Ooh, that looks scary the way her mouth open. Like, hello, how you doing? My name is Trutilda. Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things that I thought was cool was to see that he had started Dead Set Digital, and I thought it was cool because he called it Dead Set, and I was like, yes. I I talked to him in Discord, and I was like, hey, I like that, man. He's like, well, thanks, mate. I'm like, it's really like that's really cool. Okay, camera. I think on this one I wanted to pan this way. Yep. All right, there we go. Did I ever push what you call stuff down? I don't think I did. Nope. All right. Hotkeys, people, hotkeys. Look, I didn't think about hotkeys. I was like, hotkeys. Need to get those hotkeys. All right. Yeah, definitely learn the hotkeys. Like one of the biggest challenges I had was trying to find stuff, and I was like, "Oh, I'm tired of looking for it." And then I realized I just needed to know the hotkey, like just know the hotkey. Ooh, a lot right here. Okay, these want that one. These two, and that one. There we go. All right, going to mark off those. Now, some things like okay, I find like a lot of people stay away from the graph editor. And one of the biggest issues that I find that people with the graph editor is they're thinking this complex snake-like creature, and it's not that serious. Like I stayed away from it only because I figured I could get what I needed in the keyframes. And then when I started looking at earlier animations and went, ooh, it's very clunky. There's a certain smoothness, but it still was clunky. It seemed kind of like stop motion or claymation or whatever. So I was like, all right, how do I get this motion to be smoother? So one of the things I realized that I needed to do was get into the graph editor and figure out, do I need all these keyframes? Like for instance, if I hit this and I go clean keyframes, it's not going to clean everything because some of these seem relevant to Blender. So Blender's like, oh, that seemed like relevant key, but these three keys right here, I don't need them. Now watch when I get rid of them, how much smooth that curve is, much smoother that curve is. I don't even need this one. Get rid of it. I don't need this one. Get rid of it. So now this last one don't need it either. So now there's a straight cut here, even though that one seems a little bit too high. All right. All right, so now when I go and do my playback, certain ones I'm going to get rid of. I keep those. Do I want that one? I don't want that one. Don't. Ooh. Yeah, keep that one. Get rid of those two and that one. All right. So it's like a decision making. Then I will go in and refine certain parts. So here, this is one part I definitely want to refine. So what I'm doing basically is rotating the key to create like this bubble right here, because then that means now the effect, if I turn this off so we can see if I can see it, because it's instead of it's just being like this dead area, it's giving a slight bit of motion. So now now the motions aren't as stiff. All right. Now other guys do key in the graph editor, they go to the extreme levels and they go make adjustments, which is fine. And I do that depending on what I'm animating. Okay, so that up and down motion is what I don't want. So that's on the X right here. This right here, I don't need it. When she popped her head up like that, don't need it. This can go away. Because I just need her to just boom, there we go. All right. So that's the point in the graph editor, because I may not be able to find that in just using the keys. Like if I just go and select all the keyframes, I may not be able to find that in this like without the key. Without the graph editor, how would I have known that that key was right there? Okay, even though I could come here, but it could have been this key. It could have been that key. But the moment I come into the graph editor and I just go and independently do, because a lot of people don't know how to separate them. So when you go in your graph editor, if you just want to see that line that you're dealing with, go into view and go down to only selected curve keyframes. Once you click that, then only keep, because if I turn that off, all of them are present. I'm like, I don't know, I can't see it. So so I just do this one. All right. Now, if I just go and hit A and I make any adjustments, it's going to adjust the keys behind it. We don't want that. So you have to directly select it, or you can see select it. Okay. And a lot of people are just saying, man, it seems like something's changing too much. Like if I want this part right here, okay, like for instance, this is going down some. I want to adjust that. I don't want to go down so much when she's. All right, so now let's say I wanted to come before. I'll just go and hit GX, because you only can move on the X and the Y in this. Side to side, up and down. come here, and I just moved it a little bit. So now it's going to happen a lot earlier. Now I like that. That's the point in the graph editor, is to make those little bitty adjustments and not be afraid of it. All right, so let's see here. Let's get our color going. Please don't crash. It's not Blender that I'm worried about crashing. It's more my computer, because for some reason my anti-surge key is going crazy on my power supply. All right. All right. Did I close her mouth? No, I did not. It's still happening. Open this up. All right. Is that past the point? No, it is not. All right. All right. There we go. Okay. Go back in there. All right. So I think the next, I'm gonna run this from the beginning. I'm giving away a lot right now, but let me turn because I'm gonna finish the last part in a second. But I'm gonna turn this stuff back on. Go in here. Hotkeys, people. See, I didn't go over here and click Z8. All right, let's do a playthrough. I hate that ghosting it does. Oh, it drives me. That's Eevee for you, which is fine, because I know later versions is better. But I'm using 2.91, so. All right, I'm okay with that. Oh. All right, so back to animation. All right, go to the end. All right, because I still have one more line to do. The struggle. No struggle. All right, so this one should be going to White Moon. I guess I'll just use that. All right, cool. That is not 1890. I was putting it in 1980. Okay, so 1890. All right. Alrighty then. Let's see here. I want to make a different adjustment. What is she saying? Yes, close up, because that line is, the line's not menacing, but what she's saying does make it come off kind of weird, like kind of evil, even though they're not evil. I'm just saying that only because I just read the line. I was like, ooh, that does seem kind of evil, but it's not. There's no malice there. It's 1840, 1840. Why do I keep doing everything but the thing? All right. Let's go. You can do it. All right. Oof. What is it, 10? It's 10 a.m. for me here in the States. I'm in Central Time. So it means another cup of coffee. All right. Let's see here. You know what? No, I'll do it like that. No, it's fine. I'll do it like that. No, undo that. No. I caught it. Yes, sir. All right. Now that's what I call lazy animating. Just hit R and then just let it go and let the program do the work. All right. Same deal. Did I do this one? Yeah, I did. All right. Blinking time. Just keeping it simple. Keeping it simple. All right. Again, these models are from Xenoverse, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. This is not a Dragon Ball role play by no means. I'm just using these models because I don't necessarily model. I use Character Creator 3 and Make Human and anything. Oh, and in Blender now they have one that is pretty much a good little alternative to like Character Creator 3 Human Generator, which is like really nice. They've did some change. They've done some changes, and I'm in the Discord, and I go in there and literally, basically, pretty much go off because I'm just like, hey man, this thing is tripping. Like they fixed a lot of things though. They fixed a lot of things, and it's a pretty good program. I've done not on this channel, I don't think. I did it on the other channel where I was doing a pose library with the actual assets, with the actual models or a model that I created. So yeah, all right. Let's see here. Haha. Okay, so now the next part is for them to leave. You know what? No, I'm just gonna. I got a better idea. 1980. So many keyframes. All right. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Set it for 90 frames. 19. Oh, now we're at 1980. 3 seconds because I render at 30 frames a second. So, yeah. All right. I want to animate her because I want her to be looking. On rigging, because that says on digging, and I'm not sure if you mean digging or rigging. So you're gonna have to help me out with that one there, Colton. All right, we're gonna set her head to be straight. Her head and neck. Okay. I'm gonna do her neck. Gonna take her head, push it back some. I said her head, and it's still not selected. Okay. Rigging. Okay. All right. So from camera, I'm going to pay attention. 12. Hold for 12. Turn at 15. See if that plays out right. Too fast. Do it again. I said do it again. All right. So from here, that should be a second. 30 frames. All right. And then it goes out. All right. But yeah, I mean, what exactly is it that you're trying to understand, Kothan? Did I do the thing? I don't think I did. Yeah, I did. Okay, so let me clean the frames. All right, there we go. Because sometimes things are there that don't need to be there. Yeah, exactly. All right, so the only thing that had something was that. All right, cool. It's force of habit. Force of habit. All right. And that is done. So we're going to fade to black on that one. I don't need anything for that one. So another thing that I find is here, like you see, I have all these interlay tracks. I'll click the track, and then you can come up here to what is it? Edit. I think it's edit. Is it edit? No, marker. Oh, let me make sure first, because I'm up here thinking too fast. Because I have my hotkey, so you have to pardon me. Yeah, add. I'm sorry. Go to add. Say wanted to know. Well, I mean, IK can make it easier, but it depends on what you're trying to do. And if you say at some given time you need to switch between IK and FK, you need to understand how to do the switching. And you also have to remember stuff like your rotation, if it's quaternion, Euler, and if it's on which axis it's working on. So yeah, there's a lot to that. Because like I said, even though I don't do a lot of lately, I haven't been doing a lot of animation with more realistic characters with rigs. I'm using just an armature here. But like if you looked at the trailer that I just did for the Kalita movie, and the other one I did for the Elmore Chronicles, those are using rigs. So for the sake of doing it, what I'll do is I'll do a live stream. Because are you go subscribe to the other channel, and I'm saying this for a reason. Okay, so you're going to bear with me here real quick, y'all. Let me hit save. Hold on. Well, anyway, let me do this real quick. So in the interlay editor, when you have a strip selected, go to add, and then you're going to hit add tracks above selected. So this way you have multiple tracks. If you put them all on the same track, sometimes it won't work. And that's just going to hurt you more than help you. And that's what I wanted to say. All right, so here I have mine hotkey. So my hotkey is F. So when I come out of, I select it, come off of it, hit F, then it gives me a new one. And then I'm done. All right, so we can go back to 0. All right, and it's done. So that scene is done. So for the sake of it, like I said, I'm not sure if you are subscribed to the other channel, the channel name. I'll just type it into the thing. It's Kwasi Animation Studio. Not Animation Studio, just Animation Studio. And what I'm going to do there is I'm going to put up, because I'm going to take Lanfear's advice / comment and just start putting up, and I know my boy Casanova wanted it too, and start putting up tutorials on these type of things. Because even though I'll show my workflow, I'm not really, because I like seeing workflow. I like seeing people run into problems or fix their issues. So I tend to do those type of videos. So what I'll start doing is more formative tutorials on that channel where it's like, hey, this is the thing you have to deal with, and then you will leave a comment and I can come see if I can help you with those things. Because it depends on what exactly you're trying to do. Because a lot of times what happens in rigging, because I don't do rigging particularly, but I do understand how it works. Okay, like I've rigged characters, but that was like really small. Like I've rigged an emoji, if that makes sense. Like I have an emoji character and I rigged that, so that's, I'm not sure if it's in here or not. I don't think it is, but I rigged that, and having something like that was more about just doing something fun and silly. Okay. So one of the deals is, because I'm finished with this scene. So that scene is done, guys. Yay. All right. So we're going to go to one of these rigs. Okay, Mishi. All right, so I'll use Mishi without his shirt. Okay, so this is, all right, wait on it to load. Okay, so I'll go back into solid view. I'm going to turn off the cinema. All right, so this rig, this is a Make Human rig, okay? So when you go in, it's in Make Human, they call it a MHX. So when I come over here, I have to go to the MHX runtime, and it allows me to do FK IK switching. Right now, I'm in FK. If I go to IK, Okay, so now I'm in IK. All right. So when I grab the hand, all right, which is cool, but I find that with IK, no, I don't. Okay, I don't deal in that type of stuff like the challenges and stuff like that because a lot of times it's just images, and even if it's got some sort of animation, animation is just a simple little thing. When to me, I like creativity, meaning I like to see a story being told. I'm not really. I take nothing from guys to do it. I'm like, do it. There are some good looking stuff, but I just I don't see the point in sitting around waiting 5 days for a 13-second image, a 13-second video to render because I put like these, like I put a lot of just random stuff in a picture to make a picture really. So that no, I don't participate in those type of things. I'll watch it and look at it. I mean, I know he's doing it because on my second channel I'm sub to him, but uh, no, I don't get into those type of things. But it's like people keep asking me, "Did you do game animation?" I'm like, "Animation is animation. I don't deal with games because games take too long to make. Take way too long to make." I've been watching the guy make a game for the last year, and he's still working on the mechanics of the house that he has in his game. I've put out way more content than he ever would. And I'm not saying that there's a race or something like that for putting out content. What I'm saying is if your objective is to make the game, fine. If your objective is to do illustrations, fine. But don't sell yourself online to someone like me and others like you're putting out content constantly or content that we can actually glean information from and learn something from. Because a lot of people really aren't putting out anything that it's like you were talking about like with Clint on the channel with the challenge with you because that's his name, right? His actual name's Clint. So with Clint, when he's doing his stuff, it's just to me it's random things. It's not something that I could use in anything. So like for instance, I'm using I talked to Lanford just a second ago, and we look at C. Bailey Films channel or Chris Bailey, and on his channel, there's certain things I can glean from his channel that allows me that I can translate into what I'm doing here. Like I know I was showing the difference between the rigs, but I just want to show what I'm saying. A good example of something I can that in a way of gleaning something from him is when I start to develop because I'm working on a movie, right? So once I started to develop certain things, I was just looking at certain things he did in reference to terrain and stuff like that. So this is a an environment that I made for the movie that I'm working on. Okay, so this is just looking at these type of things. This is the type of stuff that I'm like literally focused on in reference to when I'm looking for something. This is a workflow I can deal with because it puts me in a position where I can now say, okay, well, this is a person that they have something that I can look at and it'll give me a good reference. Okay, so this is one of the characters in the guy's movie, but I made the tutorial. I mean, I made everything. I even put him together, but this is the actual like this is supposed to be like my rendition of the planet Namek. Okay, so this is going to be in his movie. I showed to him. He said, "Okay, man, that's fire. It's perfect." You know, so simple things like, for instance, the cloud. Right, these little clouds are literally made from a tutorial that I looked at on a guy using it to make puffs of smoke or clouds. So this is the treetop, but it's used as a cloud in another one. So in one of my other ones, it's used as a cloud. Matter of fact, this right here, the tree of might. I did a version of the tree of might. So when we look at it, come on, work with me. Don't go out. All right. So when I cut on all of the illumination, boom, this is what it looks like inside the thing. I mean, I have an HDR in there. So this is what I have on the outside. So when you look at it from the inside, this is what I created because I was able to glean from other channels that did certain things that I could use in my animation. But just making some random image of some guy carrying something on his back, that doesn't give me anything. Because a lot of the techniques used in those challenges, I already know how to do a lot of that stuff. So a lot of it's just really for fun, which is fine. So I don't participate in them because I do it on a daily basis, and I do mean daily. Like all day long, I'm doing this. Like last night, I had to stop working last night because I was exhausted. Because I get up at like 6:30 every morning, and I'll literally sit in this chair pretty much till 10 o'clock at night, to 11, 2 o'clock sometimes. It just depends. But yeah, so and thanks, man. So yeah, it's but yeah, again, I use the same thing. Those little puffs, I just used them for the tree. So they were just one of those things. But yeah, um, so yeah, you just have to just figure out how you want to go about using certain things. Like for instance, I'm about to change the rig up. Is this the right one? Hold on, let me look. Yeah. So I'm about to change the rig up on this character. I watch Twitch streams, yes, but I can't find any that are constant. Like for instance, I know Chris streams there, but I would just watch him on YouTube. But they're not. That's not a lot of people that are constant. And when you do find them, you're not. You're finding. I mean, of course, Twitch is really built for gamers. So so trying to find stuff, unless that's what you're saying. If you're just saying randomly, yes, I watch Twitch streams. But if it's about like animation and 3D generalization, yeah, I would love to. But a lot of the people are just designing stuff for games, and the moment I hear the word game, I'm gone because a lot of the properties of a game does not translate to to translate to my workflow. Yeah, art. Yeah, no. So like yeah, I've watched people do like drawing tutorials or drawing like live stream when they're drawing and doing illustrations. Uh, no, he doesn't have an rig at all. It's just his armature. Um, Yeah, I try to find as much as possible, but unless I'm just looking in the wrong area when I do a search, because their discoverability is pretty bad. But I look a lot of stuff I look up. A lot of times it'd be 4 or 5 days old, and a lot of times it's not even in English. So, and if it is, they're not talking, which is fine because they're just doing their work. And usually I find stuff that's in Maya, which is fine because again, the workflow is still the same to me. I mean, just because your naming conventions are different for your buttons and switches and levers and whatever, I still can look at it. Yes, it is. It is definitely a pain to browse it. And one of the things that I look for is animation. And a lot of times when I click it, it's just a bunch of people sitting in a room talking about the work they did. Yeah, I mean, I like to find animation lives, but the problem, even on YouTube, is hard because a lot of people are really just the ones that I do find they're doing parodies, or they'll say I'm doing an RP or what ifs or whatever. It's like what's the guy named Datomodachi and Torrent Soul and a few others that I've run into. A lot of the stuff is just role play, parody stuff. So I'm like, where's the originals? Where's your story? Like people see my series and go, oh, that's a Dragon Ball story. No, it's not. I'm just using the models from the game that I've created. This is not a, Rise of the Derulians is not a Dragon Ball story. It is not a Dragon Ball nothing. It's literally my story that I wrote, like, meaning it's a book. It started as a book. And I put the book on Wattpad. And I have, like, several other stories. Like, my Mixed Breed story is on Wattpad. My presently working on the Elmore Chronicles, it's on Wattpad. Like these are books. Like I didn't. So I started because I'm a writer I'm a writer by, I guess you would say default. But I had to come into animation. But yeah, so like this is a character created 3 character, and I just think that the program is literally amazing. I just feel like they shouldn't have limited most users to having to have an iPhone to use iClone. I think iClone they should have had some sort of setup so that the person using iClone would only need that the source code of the programming of iClone would literally use any sort of video interface. Yeah, but I could, but I don't know. I may do that. See, I just like the way they look. This is one of my characters from a series I intend to do called Digital State. I already have a couple of clips out. I started with a program I was using called Plotagon. And I still use it. It's still on my phone right now. And I pay a monthly subscription of like $4 to use most of the assets. And I used that to kind of flesh out my ideas, like new ideas. So Digital State was a new idea. And this was one of the guys. This is the head guy. And there's a major difference between this model and the model that I used beforehand. But I definitely like these models, man. Cause like it just looks good. It just looks good. Like it just looks good. But I also thought that the characters in, let me see. Did I do that? Let me see. Not that one. Not that one. Where is it? Hey, so okay, this one's funny because, but yeah, Colton, I may actually start doing it because a lot of times people ask stuff and they don't realize this is my realistic version of Goku. I know you might say, "What's that?" That's his. I think that was the Roshi or the King Kai symbol or the turtle symbol one. Let me turn him on. This model comes out of from Human Generator, which is a Blender add-on, and it looks good too. Excuse me. Just have to wait on it to load up. And it takes its time because the hair is 3 particles, and because with the what I do like about the character creator 3 models, yeah, I have him glowing and everything right now. The character creator 3 models is that they I'm gonna have to turn his emission off. Okay. What? Okay, hold on. Let me go into shading real quick. Because that should have already been gone. Oh, never mind. Yeah. No, not at all. It's just that was the only hair I could select. I don't know why people keep saying it. I'm like, no, this is the only hair I could select. Like, nothing about his skin is that dark. Okay, hold on, wait a minute. I'm trying to turn all the brightness off. All right, so yeah, here we go. All right, so and his eyes are glowing right now because I turned them green. But but yeah, so this model and his pants are still glowing. Okay, hold on. All right, and his shoes. It's funny because he's still glowing. All right, so I was, but yeah, the emblem on his back and everything. But yeah, these models are really good. Like, and this is like, look at this. I mean, look at the pores on the skin, man. Like, really though. Like, yes, sir. So these are models I intend to use for series down the line. Only problem I have with this is they do not have enough clothing. For anyone that may look at this that knows someone that's doing like Character Creator 3 programming, that's doing like human generator programming, that's doing make human programming, whatever, for some program that's generating humans. This program? This is what you're asking, Colton? Because I can tell you, because trust me, it costs. um, I got it from Blender Market, but the program anyway. The Blender, I'm sorry, the Human Generator 3D is what it's called. Uh, those that make these programs, please, I say again, please start adding clothing that we can use because adding clothing is annoying. Like for instance, I had to add because I have clothing library and it's some stuff in it, but not as much as I would like. And like the hoodies and stuff like that's fine, but what about like robes and things like that? I feel like they put more effort into women's clothing than not. Look how much more the women have. Yeah, Human Generated 3D, yes sir. And it has 2 licenses. But yeah, one for yeah. But I mean, it come with it, yeah, Yeah, you do. It's a paid add-on. So definitely pay that on. Yeah. And I've paid for my fair share of add-ons, sir. So yeah. But yeah, this is it's not bad because it used particles for the hair. Now I could reduce the amount of wear that the particles made. I have, actually, to tell you the truth, on another anime style series, because I'm glad that you asked that, because a lot of people can't differentiate between ROD and versus. Versus is not necessarily an anime style series. Uh, well, what's the what did you say? Because you know a 3D. What you talking about, Vroid? Because I know Vroid, and unless that's what you're talking about. If you're talking about Vroid, that's a waste of my energy. I have it, and I don't like it because you can't make, because the clothing really has to be done by hand, and the stuff that does come with it just is clunky. Like it's no one. It's like everyone's putting a lot of effort in making the character look good, but they're not putting any effort in making clothing that is just relevant to people use. It's like, give me 7 types of suits, not just 3. Give me like all types of shoes. Like if I'm gonna pay for it, give me the whole shebang. But if I'm gonna pay for it and I'm just paying for just a pretty face, you can keep it. And I know V-Roy's free, but I have V-Roy. It's just not worth my time because I need. Even though, yes, do not get me wrong, I could just make the characters by default with a default body and then come in and clothe them in Blender. But then now I have to deal with all these extra things. Like for instance, this shirt does not come with him. Okay, this shirt did not come with him. He was like this. Only thing he had, turn it off too. Only thing he had was just this. This was it. This came with human generator. Okay, so when I go to human generator, all right, let me do a new scene. Let me put a new scene here. Don't say it. All right, so let's go to human generator. Let me show you what I'm saying. So when I go to human generator, right, now they presently have a multitude of different beginning faces you can start with, right? So I want something kind of close to Jet Li. So let's go with him. All right, so let's just generate human. All right, so when I go to him, boom, he's there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn the shader on. Now, I'm not going to do any sort of swapping or switching or anything, so he's going to be bald-headed and all that, okay? The thing that I want you to see is the clothing is limited. They did a lot of extra on making more humans, but they didn't do anything else when it came to creating more clothing or more shoes. So you still just have a default of clothing. It doesn't. That really harms me more than it helps me in reference to if I was trying to make something like this is just not like it's basically the same pants color over and over again. So if I'm trying to make an anime series that's like vast and has multitude of characters and they're not wearing the same clothes every day. Okay, so because most anime, like all anime, more all cartoons, no one really changes clothes unless there's some sort of specific scene that causes them to change clothes. They're always wearing the same clothes all the time. Okay, so this is fine to a certain extent, but the problem here is it doesn't give me much to work with. So now I have like this default clothing that doesn't give me a variety. Okay, so because these pants he's wearing are the same pants for every shot. So it's not different. Yeah, I can go in and customize and change the color of the clothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then that's done and I can go back to human, right? So, boom. Exactly, and that was the thing. Like, I would have loved to get Marvelous Designer, but I'm not big on paying for subscriptions. See, if I could just buy the program, I wouldn't trip it. But since it's a subscription program, I'm not interested. This is how I am. I'm not going to pay you every month for something that may not work well. And I know that it works well from what I've seen, but I'm not going to pay a monthly. I'm not going to pay a monthly or yearly subscription for a program. When if I pay for it, it's mine. So if I'm paying for a subscription, then it's not mine, it's yours, and I'm just paying you to use it. I'm good. So yeah, I mean, and trying to find somebody that makes clothing is I'm big on speed, meaning I need if I say, hey, look, if say you did that, say you worked on clothing, and you did clothes. I'd be like, all right, coach, then this is what I need. And then I tell you what I need. And I say, okay, I need it Friday. It's Wednesday. I need it Friday. You don't get to, it's going to take too long. Versus if something could be generated, you know what I'm saying? Like a clothing generator. So I feel like no one's doing that. Like they're creating, they're generating humans or animals, but they're not generating clothing. And that would be a fire little app. Like again, I don't program, so I'm not gonna, and I'm not trying to get into it, so I'm not gonna do that. All right, so let's go to footwear. All right, so here's the limited selection of shoes. So I'll give them these. You know, it's just it doesn't give you a vast variety. Okay. All right, and then of course it comes with poses and stuff. So like I can pick poses, like I can go and pick, say running, right? Boom, and then put him in that pose. You know, and it comes with these type of things. Even though I can animate him myself, you know. So let's say I go back to base poses, and I can T pose him, or I can go back to the A pose. So it's just one of those things. It even has a multitude of expressions. I can pick categories. Let's say happy, boom, and make him give this weird smile. Turn this off. It just looks spooky to me. All right. Okay. So let's say base shape keys. Okay. Say sad. He has one sad expression. He doesn't look. See, look like he constipated. All right. Neutral. I don't know if that's neutral or not. That doesn't look. This one looks surprised. Slight surprise. Yeah, exactly. Right out of horror movie. I don't know if he's surprised or not. Talking. That doesn't look like talking whatsoever. It just looks like his mouth open. Like close your mouth before a fly get in there. All right. Angry. Do we not have a base? I guess not. Okay. Uh, Neutral. I guess that would be his starting point, huh? No, it's not his starting point. What is happening here? Right. Excuse me. Okay, go over to the shape keys. So it's already okay. So it's sit. All right, gotcha. Because I was curious as to why it just wouldn't. Like, there's no default face. Ooh, I don't want to remove the shape keys. There we go. Just go in and change it. All right, so yeah. Excuse me. And that's one of the things that I noticed with this program. Don't get me wrong, it looks good. Good pores, you know what I'm saying? The normal maps are like beast, you know. If I go back into the creation phase, I can put scattering on, and it's almost instant. Let's go to some sunshine, and you can like if I click this off, you can tell right in the ear that it just doesn't. There's no subsurface. But once I go here, click subsurface. Now you have that little bit of that see through, which is cool. I can even go in and make them darker or lighter. Add some more redness or take it out. His saturation, I can make him like he's sick and pale, or make it really, really, really strong. Just depends. Yeah, I animate full time, and I do it for my projects and other projects. So it's like, what you see in my stuff is kind of me being fast and rushing, versus if I was to take my time and do it differently. A good example would be, I think is it in here? Where? Like, I don't know how well you could see this, but it gets small. Let me stop it and start it over. Like it's hazy because I made it real small. So don't beat me up for the resolution because it's itty bitty. Like for instance, that's like something that I was tend to do later on. You know, and it's like it's just one of those things where you just kind of have to sit down and say, okay, hey, I have if I have to do a project, I need to know what files I'm using and how I'm using them. So that's really what I tend to do in a lot of lot of my work is try to figure out, do I need to do like kind of partial stuff, or do I do full on go all the way out animation? Because it depends on the model that you're using. If it'll, excuse me. No, I need to hold on. Wait a minute. It depends on the model that you're using and the rig. Like for instance, okay, we're gonna go back to where we were talking about the arcade rig. How long have I been going? All right. So I guess so. Yeah. I guess so. Um. So with the rig deal, we're gonna go back to the Mishi rig. Okay. So when we're talking about um, the difference between IK and FK, right? So he's already loaded up. So this is on IK, right? And again, even if you have a Rigify rig, it's still the same thing. So, or whatever somebody has made. So depending on where you are, is going to dictate how that works. So like for instance, if I pick his root, you know, okay, and I like IK for if your character's sitting. So I always say when you're animating with an IK or FK rig, this is my mindset, my thinking process on it. If I'm animating with an IK rig, I'll use that for sitting and stuff like that. Like for instance, let me go out of this here and I will literally create a random. I'm going to add a cube, no, a plane. I'll add a plane. Turn this off because for some reason I'm animating. All right, so if I do, I'll do this, and I want this is where him, because most chairs start just at your knees, okay, just behind where your knees are. So don't. That's why I think it's funny when I see people do. I'm like, you know, a chair doesn't look like that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like by any means does a chair look like that. So all right, so we give him somewhere for his butt to sit. It's not going to be really large, and since I don't have to do anything particular. All right, so this is what I like IK for. Say for instance, I want this character to move, so I'm gonna click his root. I'm gonna move him forward a little bit. Now, what I can do is come to the side, and I can just sit him down. All right, so I can just sit him down. All right. Oh, he's crooked. All right. Hold on. Let me do this instead. Make it easier on myself. Because I need to be able to see it. All right. All right. So now, when I come to the side and I click him, push him back, push him down. All right. Ah, come on. All right. Okay, so now this on this particular rig, I can actually traverse this part. Okay. All right. My bad. All right, so do that. And finally, these little bitty things. Okay, so now I need to shuffle his feet forward. All right, I'm gonna match those up. X. Okay, so with that being said, now, all right. And that's another thing too, is finding your proper pose or a proper position for your poses. Because a lot of people don't do that. They'll just randomly start and then be like, "Man, I don't understand why it doesn't work well." That's because you didn't find a good. You didn't find your position. You just start animating. Yeah. And that's the reason why a lot of times that happens. And again, finding your orientation. So let me come in here and go to the orientation. So we see clearly that again, you see how the Y, you see it right? The Y is up. Okay, so even here on this one, the Y is out and the Z is going kind of up. But then there's a second one. Okay, so you really just need to find your orientation. So for like this particular part, the orientation is the Y is coming towards me. All right. So it's just finding your orientation to understand how it works. Because I can just double tap R and rotate it all day. Or I can come over here and go to rotate. And you see where the Y is now? So the Y is going to rotate me this way. All right. All right. And then, of course, you have, let me click it again. I'm sorry. And then, of course, my X allows it to go up and down. All right. All right. And then my Z allows me to move in this direction. So it just depends. So I already know that. So since I know that, I just hit RZ and I can just do this right here. Or I hit the wrong button. RY and boom. Now I'm set. So now I want to move his fingers. So I'm just going to pick him. All right. And don't forget that also in Blender, if you want to refine your movement, the biggest thing you want to do is hold down Shift. So that the movement is not so, oh, that went through. We don't want it to go through. I don't want it to go through, no. Okay. All right. Again, this is the IK. So I know I'm dealing with IK. Come on. All right, so I know that's going through. I think the thumb should be all right. Nope, it's not. All right. The hand isn't all right either. All right, so bring it over some more. Okay, because it almost looked like it was hovering, right? So I don't want that to completely be doing that. All right, so So this hand is off shooting. I don't know why, but it is. And it doesn't always link right either. So sometimes you have to go and fix what the problem is on the other hand. That's why a lot of times I don't really like to mirror. Again, a personal thing. Some people mirror and it just depends on the model. Because it doesn't always mess up. It just depends on the model. Alright, there we go. So now he's sitting, right? I don't like the way his legs look, so let me fix this a little bit. I messed up everything I did with the hands. And it's just a matter of finding that space. And one of the things that you have to figure out, like, it just depends on your model. I'm gonna stop messing with that for right now, just for the sake of showing you that those are the little things that you can, like, I would turn this into a pose most likely. But again, in IK, that means now, because the reason why I like to do like motions like sitting down, standing up in IK is it makes it easier. Like, say for instance, you wanted somebody to punch somebody, there's a different story. I wouldn't use IK. Personally, I would use FK. Okay, so we're going to put everything in FK right here. And we're going to get rid of our little plane. All right, so now I'm in FK, right? All right, I'm going to hide this because I don't need it. All right, so I wanted to do that, right? What you talking about? The IK or FK? What we mean? What we talking? You talking about like what? No. You can't do IK or FK with an armature by itself. It has to have a rig. This is a rig. This illuminated is a rig. Okay, that's a rig. Without that rig, I'm sorry, I cut it off. Without that rig, you're not going to get IK FK. Okay, if it's just the armature itself, no. I mean, you can do it with whatever. I can do a sitting animation with an armature by itself. It's just that when I do sitting animations with a rig, I use IK. When I'm doing like general motions like walking and stuff, I use FK. Because You can do it in IK, but let's say, for instance, you want to move it from one program to another. The other program may still use it, but if it doesn't have a root, because some rigs don't have a root. This is the root, okay? This is the root or the master bone, right? It moves everything. Not every rig has that. So if you don't have a master rig, I mean a master bone in your rig, and you say I take this out of Blender and I put it in, I just say I put it in Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is going to be looking for a root bone. Okay. No. It just doesn't. It doesn't matter to me. I can use a rig. I can use an armature. It doesn't matter because the armature and the rig are two different things. The armature is the bones. The rig is the thing that has the controls. This is a rig. Okay, right? So this has controls on it. All right, the bones won't. I can do this with the bones, but not the same way because the difference with the control rig is the control, because it's realistically a control rig. So without the controls, I just have a bunch of bones, which is the armature. I can do a sitting with that, but it won't work out the same way as if I was using an IK. So when I'm using IK, I can literally come in here and just adjust him and sit him down. But with FK, because FK, but when you using FK, watch this. This is the difference with FK. Now, since I have this mirror, when I go and click his what you call him now, when I go to do that, the whole thing moves. Okay, so everything's going to move with whatever bone's being moved. So if I was going to sit him down in FK, I would just do this. All right, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. But I also know that I need to remember that certain things are going to move differently or be different. So now I'm going to refine his sitting position. And I probably would just use FK personally. That's just me. All right. So now when I want to move his legs and stuff, now I can do everything individually. Okay. So now he's sitting. With the IK rig, I have to do a lot of little tweaks. With the FK rig, I can just go in and just say, hey, you know what? Boom, boom. All right. Grab his hand component. Boom. Hold on, let me do this. Right. All right. So, hold on. Pick this one up. All right. But understand that when I move this at the top, I'm gonna have to move all this at the bottom. This is the reason why a lot of times you have to find out where you want to start. Like for instance, since I just put his hands there, and if I bend his body, because I'm in FK, if I bend his body, his hands are not gonna stay still. But if this is in IK, his hands will stay still because the only thing is gonna rotate around is that bone. Okay, because all the other parts will stay around that bone. Okay, and that's really what you're looking at. All right, so, or that's really the point in IKFK controls or rigging. Because once it's in IK, like for instance, say I had the top in IK but the bottom in FK, right? So his bottom's in FK. So if I come in here and I just go and decide I want to move his body and have him sit the same way I just did a second ago, because I just want to have a certain amount of control over that part of him, right? All right, so now his hand's in the IK. So I'm going to go above because I want to see my break. All right. All right, so I know once I bend his middle, and I just have his hands there. Once I bend his middle, they won't move. So it's about figuring out what you want to do with your rig. Cause say I want to do this here, I just want to fold them up a little bit. So I want them to be kind of slumping, slouching. And that's why I say learn your rig. Don't just start doing stuff and you don't know your rig. You feel me? So now we have him sitting. And I don't have to do it because I have his bottom and FK. So now when I go to make him stand up, I don't have to deal with each foot trying to do something different. Now you have some things where they use both rigs. They use both types of rigs, IK and FK together. But there's switching involved. So when you're looking at switching, you would have to deal with your quaternion or your Euler. Okay. So if you don't know how to change or morph those things, you'll be setting yourself up for failure every time. So if you don't understand how those things work, you'll find yourself in a conundrum. I found myself in several times where I was like, why this thing not turning all the way around? Quaternion only goes 180 degrees. Euler goes completely. It'll just keep turning. It'll go 360 20 times if you wanted to. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm about to hop off, man. Make me another cup of coffee. Set up my stuff because I'm waiting on someone to send me some lines. I got some animations I have to do. I need to make another asset. I probably need to jump on Twitch for a little bit too. Yes, I have a Twitch also. It's under the same name here, Kwasi Media. No, I'm sorry, it's under Kwasi Animations. But nonetheless, man, see y'all later. Nothing but love.